Released 2 weeks ago, the second episode of The Last of Us features another horrifying occurrence, with interesting new characters and the infection that we got introduced to in the maiden episode. Just like with the series debut, every fan of the show should be accustomed to the potential emotional gut punch. Ellie, Joel, and Tess take us on an intensely emotional trip across a destroyed world. Unfortunately, by the conclusion of episode 2, it appears that Tess was not given enough time to develop before making her final sacrifice as she got infected. But did Tess die? This video gives a complete recap, breakdown, and explanation of episode 2 and what really happened to Tess. From the previous episode, Joel, Ellie, and Tess, his partner in crime, are now off the grid. They fled from the QZ, a detention facility maintained by Fedra for uninfected survivors. There is a cool rebel group there called the Fireflies, but we have long since left that location. I hope those men are all right. Instead, the story revolves around Joel's desire for a car battery to locate his missing brother, Tommy. Sadly, a man named Robert sold the car battery to the Fireflies. The three characters are followed in episode 2 as they battle some infected people and crawl through a deserted museum. Ellie is supposed to be transported to a hospital at a Fireflies outpost, and Joel and Tess are still attempting to get there. Joel and Tess believe it's in their best interest to uphold their end of the bargain and give the Fireflies what they request after recognizing Ellie is asymptomatic. Tess is bitten. Now, this is where things get interesting. The group discovers the Fireflies have been exterminated when they get to the outpost. Then they are surrounded solely by death and wreckage, and nobody is there to fulfill the promise to Joel and Tess. Making matters worse, a horde of the infected unintentionally noticed the group and began to run for the outpost. Everyone might have perished, but Tess admits she was bitten and infected, and her only option is to give her life to allow Joel and Ellie to get away safely. So Tess stays behind to set the outpost and the infected ablaze after converting the outpost into a trap with fuel and explosives. Tess persuades Joel. With Tess's limited time remaining, she chooses to utilize it to knock over gasoline drums and argue with Joel rather than fight for her life. She urges Joel to take Ellie to their friends Bill and Frank because she knows a horde is on the way. This is where Tess implores Joel to get Ellie there, maintain her life, and correct everything that they did. Joel is persuaded by this. He then takes Ellie with him and compels her to abandon Tess. Tess's death. From there, Tess fights off a horde alone in her final moments, continually trying to light a lighter. The most horrifying scene in the episode is when one of the runners spots her and shoves its fungus-coated tongue down her throat. Thankfully, Tess's lighter starts to function at that point. The horde and our salty smuggler are killed in the final explosion of infected. And disappointingly, that is where Tess dies ominously, while Joel and Ellie watch from the outside. The emotional high point of episode 2 is supposed to be Tess's death. However, since we don't know anything about the character, her death is less impactful. Despite the duration of The Last of Us episodes, Tess is only introduced in the post-apocalyptic setting after she has already developed into a formidable criminal like Joel. We know that the two of them committed many crimes together, yet in the case of Joel, the episode's flashback revealed a sympathetic side to the character. Because Tess didn't enjoy the same convenience, we have less sympathy for her. Additionally, the atonement defense for her conduct is weak because we only have a general understanding of her crimes. As it stands, the conclusion of episode 2 gets rid of a supporting character to concentrate on its leads. While that is a viable plot device, the show's writers have already shown in the first episode that they can give the Last of Us characters more life than the game did. Though we accept Tess is dead for now, we're sure fans hope that this is not the last time they see Anna Torv in the series. As you look forward to more recaps and breakdowns of this series and more, please do well to subscribe to this channel and like this video by clicking the thumbs up button.